Now, welcome back. Some text coming in there. Damien, I went to college, as I said, from Alice, and that lovely story about coming into college. Regarding Halloween, it's a pity, Damien, it takes Halloween to come for parents to walk the streets with their children, but some of them turn a blind eye every other day when they're out tormenting people in their own residential area. Shame on some parents. Other people texting in. Damien, I received a scam phone call last night from Chad. Obviously didn't answer. P.S. You should make sure to do a big issue about 5G before it's too late. That's from Seamus. Seamus, we are planning to do something about 5G and what it means in different parts. We've got a lovely text in from Nicky Rossiter. Thank us for the support so far regarding Tremore's Got Talent. And just to remind people, Tremore Got Talent first semi-final is on tonight at Tremore GA Clubhouse. 15 fantastic acts, a great night of entertainment. Adults €5, children €2. And that is from Nicky. So that's a big fundraiser down in Tremore GA, which leads us nicely into Gavin Whelan. How are you, Gavin?
Not too bad. Damien, how are you?
Thanks for coming into us.
Not a bother.
We've got a lot of stuff on sports over the weekend, as we heard from Liz. I suppose the big one is the Ballygunner game.
Yeah, it certainly is, yeah. And no doubt it's going to be pretty soft up there in O'Grady Park in 6 Mile Bridge on Sunday. Of course, the Gunners starting their bid to maintain, or I suppose retain their Munster title, which was won in such a brilliant fashion. Of course, that unforgettable day against Na Piarsaigh and Thurles last year. So the way Ballygunner have approached it all year, Damien, obviously under new management, and Darragh Sullivan is one game at a time, and the 6 in a row now. I'm sure that'll all be forgotten about now when they're fully focused on Sunday. We know Davy Fitzgerald is obviously a big
remind us who's in the
background
6 Mile Bridge, who's on a certain man by the name of Davy Fitzgerald.
One Davy Fitz, yeah. And I know it's something that Sil O'Connor is going to be chatting to Tomas on the GA show tonight, was that Davy never forgot his roots and always wanted to give something back to the club. Obviously he was a lively goalie with 6 Mile Bridge as well, and he was really passionate, and we know how kind of mad he is at times, but I think that comes across in their performances this year. So they've won the Clare Championship, very formidable aside, and I think Ballygunner are certainly going to have to be on their guard going up there on Sunday. I've no doubt, knowing Darragh and David Franks and the management team and the Ballygunner players, they'll be well aware of the challenge they face.
But it's going to be a very tough match.
It's going to be very tough, they probably haven't played there before, a lot of those players, so when you're going away, I know they're on the road early at 7:30, I think Sunday morning, 1:30 start. It's an early journey, heading off, and but a very grounded bunch. You'd have to hope that if Ballygunner performed, get a good start, like Deise Hutchinson, these guys are on fire. If they can get that quality ball into the inside line, I know if the weather is difficult, that style of hurling Ballygunner play might be hard in these kind of conditions, and that's what maybe the question marks maybe you'd have over them. But you'd have to give them, you'd have to give them the nod going into Sunday if they perform, hopefully get over the line. And of course, if they won that game, they would have Patrick's Well at home the following week in the Munster semi-final. We wish the lads the very best of luck. Of course, if you're not heading along, do join Tomas and Shiner on air from 1:15, thanks to George Corbett Skoda. But we wish Ballygunner the best of luck. We wish Ballysaggart, of course, the best of luck. Damien, they're the other club in Munster club action the weekend. Was chatting to Adrian Marr there, their manager. They're down 3 guys on Sunday, 2 due to injury, and Jack Roach has gone to New Zealand. They're going to be tight, but the numbers aren't hectic up in Ballysaggart, as we know. They had a great win in the county final against Ballygunner, great celebrations, and they're taking on Causeway, who are incidentally the Kerry senior champions. A lot of people might not know that, just to put that out there, that the Kerry senior champions play in the intermediate championship in the Munster club hurling grade. So they're going to come down. I know they haven't played for 10 weeks, but I believe they've played a lot of challenge games, and will be coming down full of confidence. They're coming down, I think, Saturday night, staying in Dungarvan. So we wish Ballysaggart the best of luck in for Hartfield. So, yeah. 1:30 on Sunday. The Bennetts and the really kind of passionate Eugene O'Brien. So it's great to see, Really love their hurling, love their, really passionate about the game, and hopefully they can.
And there's a few other important GA matches.
Yeah, there is two junior finals tomorrow. We wish the 4 clubs the very best of luck. 4 proud clubs who gave a lot and are continuing to give a lot to GA. St Mary's and Ballydurn met in the junior hurling final 30 years ago in 1989. St Mary's won it. Wow. The same 2 teams are meeting tomorrow, so will history repeat itself, or can Ballydurn reverse the trend? It's going to be very, very tight. Imagine Welsh Park. It'll be interesting to see how it holds up. But 2 really, really proud clubs. They've been very impressive, winning their divisional final. So very, very hard one to call. I know both clubs very well. St Mary's bet ourselves there in the Western semi-final. Dan Shanahan is in there training. Ray Barry is involved with Ballydurn. So 2 really proud guys, 2 proud clubs. I have a feeling this is going to go down to the last 5 minutes. It's could be a break of a ball, or very, very hard to call. I wouldn't rule out a draw. Honestly, wouldn't rule out a draw. And of course, all roads lead to Fairfield tomorrow night. Then for the Junior A football final, Shamrocks and Ballyduff Lower. Of course, in that one. you'd know one of the Shamrocks players there yourself. So that should be a unique final. Both sides have been knocking at the door the last couple of years, and again, I know a lot of the lads involved there, they've been kind of desperate to win this title. Shamrocks lost to Mount Sion after extra time last year. Ballydoflower have lost the 2016 and 2017 deciders. Really, great guys involved in both clubs, not picking from massive pools of players, passionate about the game. Again, Shamrocks, maybe the fact they had two tough battles against Gerlines and Ballydoflower, they just got over the line against John Mitchell's. Maybe playing in Fairfield as well, the fact they've played the two Western finals under lights, maybe a slight advantage. I might give the Shamrocks a very slight nod on that one, but wouldn't be surprised if Ballyduff won it either, or wouldn't be surprised, Damien, if we had a second day.
There's a lot of other sports happening, and we won't have time to go through everything. A lot of junior soccer on over the weekend.
I know there's a big one, the big one up the west side. I know from meeting people in Dungarvan during the week, because Dungarvan are playing Ballinroad. I know tomorrow night up there in Kilrush, so the best of luck to those two teams. I know they could do with getting league points on the table, but tomorrow it's a cup game, so it's a chance to go out and express themselves. I know there's a lot of games on, and hopefully that pitches will hold up. I'm sure if we've any details, we'll keep you posted.
Two boys as well, and then other sports briefly.
Yeah, I suppose Rugby World Cup final tomorrow will be pretty intriguing. Looking forward to that tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Can England, I suppose, win back the title? You'd have to probably fancy them based on their semi-final victory, dethroning the All Blacks, even though we saw what the All Blacks did to Wales there, trounced them this morning. Phenomenal, so based on what I've seen, Damien, you'd probably have to give England the nod. South Africa just edged out Wales last weekend. Of course, Rassie Erasmus is going to step down, of course, after tomorrow, the former Munster coach, so I'm sure they'll be keen to sign him off with a bit of glory. But interesting news indeed, and should be cracking game, so I'd give England the nod if you were to ask me.
Gavin Whelan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Damien.
Thanks very much. Joining us now on the line is James from the Carrick Motor Club. James, good morning.
Morning, Damien. How are you?
Very good, thank you yourself. Thanks for joining us. Just going to give a mention, and that's why we tie it in with sports, even though it's not an actual, I suppose, competitive event in terms of rallying, but it is competitive on the day, and there's prizes. You're this Sunday, big day out at the Waterford Airport Business Park. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the usual annual rally sprint. Damien, our Halloween rally sprint at Waterford Airport Business Park out in Porrigan, Griffin's facility there. We're running the event. It's our last competitive event of the year, and it is a competitive event in its own right, but it's standalone. It's not part of a championship or anything like that, Damien. You were there last year, if you'll remember anyhow, and you saw what went on. We could have up to 100 entries, and it's a great event, really. It's a closed event, it's a safe event, and a great spectacle for people actually locally if they wanted to come and view it.
And last year you raised money for cancer charities, and then this year you're fundraising for Pieta House, is that right?
Pieta House, yeah, absolutely. We try every event we run about 9 events a year, Damien, in all disciplines of sport, and the rally sprint in particular. The gate goes to a particular charity, and whilst we raise money for many charities in the region, as you're well aware, it's Pieta House this year, which is very close to us and very important. They do a lot of very, very good work in the region and in the country, as you well know, and they're our associated charity this year, and really deservingly so, to be honest.
Yeah, very much so. And I know rallying is very popular in certain parts of the country, and you've done great work over the years, and we did a lovely nationwide piece on it last year, and in terms of Waterford people and people in South Tip getting involved in the Carrick Club and the great history and tradition there and continued success. And what time can people turn up on Sunday? Can they pay at the gate, or what happens?
I'll pay at the gate, and it's only a small fee, to be honest. But 10 o'clock on, any time from 10 o'clock up to 4 o'clock, I'd imagine around midday after lunch, we tend to get a good flow of people. Kind of 1, 2 o'clock, 2:30, that kind of thing, and it'll be very interesting and very nice. And you've a great view in that particular venue, and big thanks to the owners of the venue, the Griffins. There, it's like for motorsport, you need the goodwill of the people. Hence, that's why we as a club always try to give something back, and our association with charities and all that. And no, it'd be great spectacle for everybody involved, and well done to the team. And it's a great event.
And can you guarantee me now that I'm going to not scream when I get into the car with you?
Yeah, I did. I was asked that question. Damien Tiernan would say then, will you bring him? And I said, yeah, I would love to. But I said, will he do it? Because For somebody that's never sat in a rally car, it is a very, very unusual experience. But we have the racing suit, and we have the helmets, and we have the boots, and we have everything for you. So you're committing to sitting in now, is that definite?
I'm committing to sitting in, yeah. I'll be there at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. Now, I'll try not to have the heebie-jeebies, and I'll try to make sure that I'm fully focused, and I won't scream or shout. But I was told by one of your colleagues yesterday, there'll be a nice bit of water, a nice bit of surface water on the ground now. It'd be great for the skids and I was thinking you're going to do some shoving that car around that track now, I'd say, will you?
Yeah, well, the only thing, I need you have to commit for the 4 runs now. There will be 4 timed runs. So you can sit in for one.
No.
Decide, I kind of have enough of it. So you'll be well used to it come 4 o'clock.
I look forward to it, James, and continued success to you and everybody involved with the Carry Club. We'll see you on Sunday, okay?
Thanks very much, Damien, and thanks to yourself and WLR for the support again. You do a great job.
Thanks very much, James. Anybody wants to turn up there at the Waterford Airport Business Park on Sunday. Now coming up, we are going to be talking to John Pratt in a little while, and we are going to be talking in the next few minutes to Paul Kelly about the very latest regarding the Haven Hotel. Now, keep your texts coming in 083 333 975, or you can call Audrey on 051 846 123. I'm joined by Paul Kelly in studio. Paul is going to talk. Do you want to pretend that you're Rory Cowan, Paul? No? Mr. Brown's Boys. Rory Cowan, the scheduling matter just happened this morning at very late notice, and he's going to be coming in next week for us. So next Friday we're going to be talking to Rory Cowan from Mrs. Brown's Boys. We've got some nice questions, and we're going to have a few books to give away on that as well. We've got Father Brian Darcy's recent book as well. It's just out on the bookshelves. We're going to give that away this morning. So if you want to text in the name of the Pope, the first name of the Pope, text into 083 333 975, and we'll give away Father Brian Darcy's book. A couple of texts, Paul, before I come to you. We're talking about taxi firms and different people in town. Richard says he phoned a number of firms looking for a wheelchair taxi for the following day, and unfortunately none of them could organise one for his son, who had an appointment at UHW to get his power chair serviced, but couldn't get it done because they couldn't get a wheelchair out. They explained the situation to the engineers, so he wants to make sure that taxi firms should be able to organise, obviously, a taxi, a wheelchair accessible taxi for morning times, and number of other people texting in, well done to the taxi firms for all the work they do at night time, particularly in getting people home safely, and the Purple Flag initiative. We had a text in from a lady. You heard earlier we were talking to the publicans about issues in town, and a number of young men have been assaulted allegedly by these men from Cork. My son was one of those boys attacked that you were just talking about. I'd like to thank everyone involved in looking after him afterwards. Thanks to the bouncers, thanks to CCTV, thanks to the publicans that they were caught. Please, just to say thanks to everybody. That was from that lady, and very much so with that. Damien, my sister was on a bus last Saturday coming from Cork. 4 young lads got on a bus in Dungarvan, drugged out of their heads, drinking as well, harassing a young one. Now, and text in from Richie and Abbeyside. Damien, looking through the Dungarvan Observer, an article regarding dysfunctional HAP system, he has to disagree with the comment by Councillor McGuinness. He was on the HAP 3 years ago. The council had to wait for a house that suited his needs to come on stream. The system does work, says Richie. So he definitely had a good experience with the council HAP scheme. So it's like anything. You get some people that have good experiences with these things, others that don't. Bernie has texted in, good morning, Damien. Given that we're complaining that we don't get services we're entitled to, I'd like to give a huge shout out to everybody involved in the Citizens Advice Centre on the Yellow Road. A fantastic service who go over and above in their help to the public. They're always very courteous, prompt and very helpful. That is from Bernie. Other people texting in about how Waterford is becoming a safer place to go out and about in, even though there are issues of drugs in certain parts. Paul Kelly, thank you very much for joining us this morning. You are the manager, owner, Haven Hotel?
Yes, that's correct, Damien, yeah.
It's been in the family for how many years?
55 years.
55 years. And have you been always in the business? Did you go away for a little while yourself, or were you always there?
I was away for a couple of years in the early 80s.
And you're back there now. What happened in the last few years was you had a fire.
We had a fire in June 2015.
It's 4 years already.
Yeah.
And what did that do? What did that destroy?
The fire itself destroyed the kitchen and service areas of the hotel, but the entire hotel was smoke damaged, so we had to refurbish the entire building.
And you managed to do that. Like, there was talk at the time, I wonder, people were saying, will they reopen and stuff? But you said no, you were going to put your shoulder to the wheel. You did that. You reopened and you refurbished and all that.
Yeah, we had a serious decision to make whether we'd chuck it all in or get back at it.
Why did you decide to keep at it? Was that just something in there that just felt, keep going?
It was, what would you say? Well, you can't let the family business just die without giving it a fight. So it was sink or swim, basically.
So as part of that then, you decided to develop your hotel experience regarding weddings, and you try to develop the wedding package. So you get a marquee, and you put the marquee in front of the hotel. And you have certain issues that you sort out regarding the marquee, and you develop, and you have a very successful wedding business. For example, this year...
Yes, correct.
This year, I think you were saying around 60, 64, was it?
66 weddings this year.
Excellent. Congratulations. And
the whole business model had to be changed, you see, to create an event and wedding venue, which the marquee is fundamental to. Because
the old style pub stroke hotel, you're not going to make money out of that. You're not going to have enough money to survive.
Definitely not.
And in terms of rooms and stuff like that, again, you have to create events to get people into the rooms.
Well, with the being a listed building, we can't extend the building anywhere. So the only option was to get a marquee. And changing the business model, we were years trading on the family holiday business, which is basically a 6-week season now. So we were getting deeper and deeper. So it was a case of changing the whole model.
How many people do you employ part-time, full-time?
At the height of the season, we'd have 45 around staff between full-time and part-time.
And then there's the ancillary stuff that happens. For example, the entire village of Dunmore East, the town of Dunmore East, will get a boost with other people coming and going, and then there's the second day of weddings and all the restaurants. Yeah. Then if people are going to eat in the Haven, they can't eat maybe on a day of a wedding or night of a wedding, so they go to the other restaurants. So there's all this...
There's a spin-off for everyone.
Spin-off for everyone. Then we have the issue of planning, and we have an issue of retention, and we have an issue of the marquee and it being a listed building, and we've got visuals and we've got audio. You stop your weddings at 11:30 at night?
We stop the music outside at 11:30 strictly every night.
And everybody goes inside?
Inside then.
So we've had a number of complaints from, I think, 2 different parties regarding the retention of the marquee. And this has been in the public domain for the last month, and it's been a major source of talking point for a lot of people, not just in Dunmore East, but across the county. And I know people have been on to me from different parts
across the county and across the country.
The country, yeah, because they're looking at this and they're saying, does this affect how marquees are done? For example, marquees put up ice rinks and all sorts of stuff and all issues such as that. What's the latest news? The
latest news is very positive. We had an excellent pre-planning meeting with the council officers on Wednesday. We had our own planners there and our own advisors. We met with the main guys we need to be talking to find out what they want from us to retain the marquee.
So let's again just make it simple for the listeners. There was an original planning application put in to the council, and it stays at council level, so it hasn't gone to An Bord Pleanála. There is a An Bord Pleanála system which is beyond the council system regarding planning, but it's still at Bord Pleanála. It's at council level. Yeah. The council, for different reasons, decide not to give you retention. You then basically have to go back and put in a new planning application into the council. So you're effectively putting a new planning application into the council.
Well, the original planning application, the council never looked for additional information. It was just rejected out of hand, which we thought was pretty unfair, without looking for more information. So we decided to retain the services of a specialist planning consultancy to find out what they thought would be best, and the decision that we came to was to launch a completely new submission, taking into account the reasons for the first rejection, which we've already taken measures to address those issues.
Okay, so what have you done? What were the original, I suppose, grounds for rejection, and what have you done to remedy that?
one of the grounds for rejection was parking, which we'd already addressed. We put in extra car parking at the beginning of the season. We're the only business basically that has off-street parking in the village anyway. So there's ample parking for any event. Another one was the noise pollution. We moved the doors of the marquee around to the side. We made sure that all the bands are checked before they start. We do noise monitoring every night that there's a wedding on. We've had 3 different full sound checks done by a qualified sound engineer.
That costs money.
Oh yeah, everything costs money, but it has to be done because we're serious about this project and we want to make it right. That when we have it right, there'll be no grounds for objection from anyone.
The marquee, as people may or may not know, we've done videos on this as well. It's, I suppose, your typical marquee, but it's not. It's a higher end marquee.
It's a 5-star marquee. It's about 80% glass panels. We have a quote there as well to even put sound deadening panels into the ceiling of it, which is obviously very expensive. But as we explained to the council, we're prepared to do whatever needs to be done to retain that marquee.
Will you be asked, or have you been asked, to move the marquee in any way, or is it possible to move it?
It is. We could move it back another. One of the objections as well, one of the main objections was the visual impact on a listed building. Now, to keep that listed building alive and kicking, we need a source of income which comes from the marquee. The idea is that in 3 or 4 years' time, that we will actually have planning permission granted for a full function room there as such, which was the original plan 30 years ago.
Where would you be able to build that function room? To the side, to the front?
Slightly to the side, yeah.
Okay.
More or less where the marquee is now, but it would obviously have to be sunk into the ground or something. That's a plan for another day. But
yeah.
That's what we intend to do at the moment now. Is now that we know what the council want, we're going to submit the new retention plan for the marquee, with the view that it's a 3-year retention we're looking for, with the view to building a permanent structure then. But we have to put the plans together for that permanent structure now to show the council that we are serious about it.
Have either or have any of the objectors withdrawn their objections?
Not that I'm aware of.
So the original objections are still on the list there?
Well, they'll have to re-object, I presume, because it's a totally new planning application.
Has there been any objections so far?
No.
No. Are you working with
it hasn't been submitted yet. That's why we had the pre-planning.
Excellent. So you're working with the council. So basically what you've done is you've said, let's work with the council, let's work with the planners, let's talk this, and let's try and get this sorted. It's
very positive from both sides. The impression we got after leaving the meeting the other day was that they want this to happen as much as, not as much as we do, but they want it to happen. It's very important to the village and for the area, for a different number of reasons, not only weddings, but events, charity events, social events. Like the marquee is a facility there for the village. As you well know, in Dunmore East, there's no social amenities big enough to host a fundraiser or anything like that. Yeah,
there isn't a community centre.
No.
It's strange in that sense. There's not a community centre. The Fisherman's Hall can cater for a certain amount of people, but it's small in that respect.
Yeah.
So there's never been a community centre built. Not that this would become a community centre, but it's a place potentially that can hold events. And like, for example, you had a big event there for the Holy Ghost?
Holy Ghost, yeah.
For a fundraising event for them.
We had 2 different ones for the Solace Centre as well, very successful events. We have a fundraiser for Down Syndrome Ireland. These were all booked before we ever had this issue with planning. These are booked for months.
And as we said before and constantly say, people are fully entitled to object, they're fully entitled to look for clarification on planning processes, and fully entitled to express their opinion. And you're fully entitled then to say, this is how we believe it can work. In terms of what you're going to be looking for now, how confident are you percentage-wise that you can make this work?
Well, if I'm not confident, there's no hope for anyone. Let's put it that way. I'm very confident, extremely confident, because this is going to work eventually. Whatever, like the positiveness coming from the meeting the other day was great. So we got to move ahead with this project and get it done sooner rather than later. We've a lot of people relying on us, be it jobs, be it couples that have their weddings booked, be it events that are booked with us. I'm certainly not going to tell Jerry Cullen that he can't have the Holy Ghost fundraiser next summer. So everything has to move ahead in a positive manner.
If there are certain stipulations and requirements that the council deem necessary, will it be a possibility that this will be a short-term planning? So, for example, could you get retention for maybe 5 years while you get enough money together to build an extension? Or how do you envisage it happening?
I envisage that if and when they give us the retention planning for the marquee, that we had this long-term goal anyway, before this issue ever came up, that the marquee was a means to an end. Historically, going back to 1984, we were actually granted planning permission for a permanent structure on the other side of the building. It's not possible to put that there now, but that planning was granted in 1984, so there's a precedent there for it. So if we get the retention for the 3 years, I would be very confident that we'd be in a position to build a permanent structure there by that time.
Paul Kelly, thank you very much.
You're welcome, David.
I really appreciate it.
Just on that, bit with the noise pollution, a fact that has never been mentioned is the nearest neighbour to the marquee is my mother. Now, if there was issues with noise in that marquee, you can be damn sure my mother would let me know about it fairly sharpish.
She wouldn't be...
she wouldn't be holding back.
I know her, she wouldn't. Paul, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate you coming in. Keep in touch.
We will certainly.
Let us know what the latest.
Keep updating you.
Thank you very much. Paul Kelly, Haven Hotel, the very latest.
Thank you, Damien.
Now, welcome back to the programme. A lot of texts coming in. One last call out for the competition. The name of the Pope, please. The name of the Pope. 083 333 975. We are going to have a chat with Father Liam Power probably on Monday morning about the Amazonian Synod and the whole idea of should priests be allowed to get married. Let us know what you think about that, and that's one of the reasons that we're giving the prize away this morning of Father Brian Darcy's new book. Texters coming in. We're also going to have a nice chat with George O'Mahony and John O'Connor from the Waterford Camera Club about a marvellous exhibition that's taking place in City Square. Firstly, we're going to go a little bit late to one of the big stories of the day. Councillor John Pratt, Mayor of Waterford. John Pratt, good morning.
Morning, Damien.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We didn't get to you just before 11. A number of items overtook us, but we flagged this last night as this is one of the topics that people are going to be talking about today. And because it's, I suppose, an internal kind of a council matter, sometimes people think it doesn't affect them. But it may well have a massive effect on them and maybe their organisation, maybe their arts event, whatever the case may be. Can you explain to us, please, what's happening?
Look, the reality is that this is a 3.3 million euro cut that is being imposed upon us by government. And the reality is that if this it comes to be that we will not have the relevant funding for roads, for festivals, community, for housing stock refurbishment, and it is an absolute disgrace. We're once again, we're here in Waterford, and we seem to be the one of very few who have been treated in this negative way, and we have to stand up and fight this, and we need central government, propped up by Fianna Fáil, by the way, to stand up and ensure that this funding is reinstated and compensation is given to us, to our local authority. OK,
so explaining this to people, the city and county manager, Michael Welch, wrote to all the councillors yesterday to bring to your attention a serious issue that has developed in recent weeks. Quote, regarding a potential loss of income in respect to Irish water rates in excess of €3 million that will inevitably have a profound impact on this year's budgetary process. And it follows a history of events regarding how Irish water rates are, I suppose, worked out, going way back to revaluations from 2013. And this combines Waterford City and County Council and also Dublin Council. As a consequence, from 2015 onwards, the Government Department put in place a compensation scheme for the loss of rates, and local authorities were compensated for the loss on an annual basis. But now that is being, I suppose, changed. The valuation process has been changed. So instead of getting an original income of nearly €4.5 million based on the 2013 valuation. What Waterford Council is going to get is only going to be 1.1 million. So there's going to be a potential shortfall of 3.3 million. Is that it?
Yeah, and the reality is that 23 other councils are going to benefit from a raise in income as a result of this change, and Waterford is the only council outside of Dublin set to lose millions. 3 other councils will lose a few thousand. This is a disgrace. And the reality is that it's not an Irish Water issue. This is a government issue. This is the decision of the government implementing the Water Services Act of 2017. This bill was implemented by the Dáil, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil voted for it, and Labour, along with Sinn Féin, voted against it. So this is something that can be stopped and can only be stopped by head office and by central government.
So it's not an internal Waterford Council versus Irish Water dispute.
No.
This is a matter which affects and goes directly to the heart of central government.
And the reality is, Damien, that we are not in a position at this time to be increasing rates. You know, like if we were to ask the question, where is this money going to come from? Like, are we going to raise business rates on the local people who are already struggling to cover what they have? Are we going to raise rents in the middle of a housing crisis? Are we going to cut services like to fill in the potholes, the refurbishment of housing stock? Or are we going to go to Winterville, the Harvest Festival? Like, the reality is, these are the services that we are going to lose if this money is not put in place by the government of the day. And I am pleading and I'm asking, and I as mayor, it is my responsibility to arrange an emergency meeting, which I've already spoken to the CEO about, and that will be arranged for next week, and I will have a date on that in due course as well in relation to this, so that we can have a serious discussion. And we'll also be ramping it up to the Minister of the Day, Owen Murphy, and we have to do what we can to ensure this money is put back in situ.
John Pratt, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Thank you. John Pratt there, Mayor of Waterford City and County, about that news regarding a potential 3.3 million shortfall in Waterford City Council budgets. The reason this is important is that the budgets are being, I suppose, finalised and being discussed over the next few weeks for the next year, and also the issue of who gets what and how much money can be given out, and also whether rates locally for businesses may have to go up if this happens. We're going to do a lot more on that on Monday morning. You'll hear more about it on the news later on. Our book winner, the answer is Pope Francis. Our book winner is Mick Tivan, Tivnan, I think it's pronounced, Tivan, and he is in Viewmount Park. Well done, Mick. You've won the book, Father Brian Darcy's book. We'll have another book competition on Monday. In a few minutes, I am going to be talking with the Camera Club. Firstly, I went out last night with some of the fire crews to do a little piece regarding to see what the situation was. Obviously, the rain last night around Waterford City and County kept a lot of people off the streets, and there wasn't as many bonfires. I spoke with some of the senior officers within the Waterford Fire Service. And firstly, we got a call out to the Apple Market. Here is my report. We're here in the Apple Market. What's the story, John, do we know?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm actually just investigating now, so I'll come back to you in a while, okay?
Okay, thanks, John. What's the story, Colin? What do we know?
I don't know now. I just saw a few bangs there off the roof. It's like a short circuit on the wire or something like that.
And is it any where these lights are down, or is it something else?
No, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is now. It's on top of the roof. You can't see it from here now. You can just see the bang.
And what sort of a bang? Was there a spark with it?
Like a short circuit on a wire.
So we're here, we're looking at the Apple Market, we're looking at the roof of the Apple Market. It's lashing rain, and yet
you rang it in, did you?
Yeah, I rang it in, yeah.
So was it the actual Christmas lights hanging out?
No, it wasn't coming from on top of the roof.
And there's 2 fire brigade units now. It's now 8:45, and there's 2 guys dressed as penguins walking around, obviously going to a fancy dress party, I hope. There's these Christmas lights hanging down from the Apple Market roof, but this man said he saw some kind of sparks coming from the roof or somewhere around the top of the Apple Market. There's strobe lighting all the way around the roof canopy, flashing rain, and there's quite a few people around, a lot of people looking up. The firefighters are shining their torches up to see what's up there and try and find out what's going to happen next.
We're quite so far anyway, is the good news.
Yeah.
I'm the incident commander.
Grant, what's the full name?
John Morrissey.
Is this one of the first call-outs?
This is our fifth call since
call
about
already?
5 o'clock today. Yeah, so
Wow, what have you had so far?
it's bonfires mainly, so we're being called out to some anti-social bonfires. The rest of it is being managed by the Gardaí, so they are calling us as required, and if there's any concerns, we're being called out to extinguish them. But so far, reasonably quiet for Halloween. It's been quiet. I think the damp weather has helped our cause.
What are we looking at here? We got this call out from this chap here. I was just talking to him. He saw what he thought was maybe sparks, maybe a bit of a bang.
Well, this would be a routine type call for us. If someone had concerns that there might be a safety matter, we'd often be called in. So there was someone saw some electrical sparking there, but at this point we don't believe there's any public safety with it. So we're now passing it back on to the council, who will be able to send someone down maybe and have a look at it maybe tomorrow or whatever. But in the interim, doesn't seem to be any issue with it at this point.
The speed with which you were able to mobilise to get 2 units over here very quickly within the space of, I suppose, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that'll be our typical response time. Anywhere within the city, we'll be there within 5 minutes, typically speaking, depending on obviously our availability with other calls. And this is always the case on a Halloween. You may be off doing what's regarded as maybe non-essential type tasks, and you're not available then to do the other routine day-to-day stuff that we would.
And in training, would you have planned for potentially something like this? Like, we're talking about a very unique structure, a high roof. Have you done any training with something like this?
Yes, we have the aerial platform to get up high. If there's a fire situation for something like this, then we can bring our emergency tender, and we have equipment on that. Typically what we will do in a situation where there's electricity involved, seal off the area, make it safe for the public, and call in the ESB then to isolate it if that's an issue. On this occasion, it doesn't require it though.
How many crews have you got working tonight? How many are in each tender?
Well, we're business as normal. We don't ramp up anticipating stuff. We have the normal crew tonight, which will be a team of 6, and we have a backup crew then, a retained crew that are available behind us if necessary, and we haven't called them in so far. We've been able to manage everything so far tonight. John Morrissey.
Pleased to meet you, John. Thanks very
Damien.
much, and good luck for the rest of the night.
Hopefully we don't see you again. Take care.
And they didn't see me again. No, I decided that was it, and there wasn't too many call-outs last night, and thankfully a safe Halloween for many people. Now we're going to talk to the Waterford Camera Club in a second. Good morning, lads.
Morning.
How are you getting on?
Morning, very well. Good.
Great. We're going to have a lovely chat about your marvellous exhibition. Stay with us. Now we're having a little dance here in the studio. George O'Mahony, John O'Connor, how's it going, gentlemen?
Very well.
Thanks for coming into us.
Good, Damien.
You are with the Waterford Camera Club. There's an exhibition on in City Square starting next week. 82 images from Waterford photographers. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, 82.
Wow.
A great turnout from the club now, in fairness.
Tell us first a little bit about the club. Tell us about the history of the club. How many members do you have?
We're up to 76 members at the moment, Damien, and the club was founded in 1972. So we're coming up to our 50-year anniversary now in 2022. So,
some great names and characters over the years, I presume.
Oh yeah. We have well, one of our biggest characters would be Terry Murphy. You know Terry yourself. So, yeah. Character or a devil? I'm not sure which. He'll appreciate.
What is he, John? A character or a devil?
He's a
bit of both.
Inspiration, actually.
Inspiration, he is.
He's the backbone of the club. It's there since the 1972, and without Terry I don't think we'd have half the success that we have at the moment. You know, he's just marvellous.
I think you're right there on that, yeah. You've done lots of work and do lots of work over the years and stuff like that. Tell us about this particular exhibition.
It's we haven't had an exhibition in about 5 or 6 years, and it was something that came up last year at our AGM. Could we get an exhibition going? So we decided, and actually who took charge of it was Terry Murphy. He said okay, he took it on board. So it was a case of finding a venue, and like the best venue in town for anything like that is where the public most go through. So City Square was decided upon, and Terry went off and done all the business, got City Square on board, and they gave us that big display area in the middle, just opposite and I say it's Specsavers there,
yeah.
And they gave us that area there, outside of there, so it's a prime spot. So as I said, 82 images. 2 images from not all the members submitted because some are a bit shy. So we have like 41 people submitted images from the club and 2 images each. So, and they're just it's stunning images, some stunning images.
Tell us, John, what makes a good image in your opinion?
Well, it depends really. There's a lot of factors involved in it. I suppose really, as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So at the end of the day, it's what you like yourself really that matters. You know, a good composition is very important, I think. So what they call the rule of thirds in terms of how you compose a shot, and then you've got things like sharpness, the quality, that type of thing. So I think really what you got to do for anybody who's out there who's interested in photography and might be a bit shy about taking photographs, come along to the Waterford Camera Club at one of our meetings. We meet every second Monday night in WAMA, which is the Waterford Academy of Music and Arts. And there's a great camaraderie among the members, great support for beginners. We have 3 sections, novice, intermediate and advanced, and the club is divided up fairly evenly among those groups. And there's great support there for beginners in particular,
Black and white or colour, George?
Both. I love both. I love mono. I love black and white. It's it's a classic look, a reportage look. It can do an image that might look okay in colour. When you convert it to black and white, can be stunning. And there's some days when the weather's not conducive to colour photography that you can go out and clouds might be right, sky might be right, but you turn it to black and white and it just works, So I'm 50-50 on that, to be quite honest with you, Damien. I don't...
John?
Well, there are members that we'll say that specialise in colour and specialise in black and white as well, Again, it's about personal opinion at the end of the day. Both work for me, to be honest with you.
Is it... Because I know a lot of people that do photography over the years, and some lads describe it as that difference between, would say, lads saying a good French wine or a good new... It can drive clubs apart. It can drive friendships. It can be a bone of contention, can't it?
Well, the biggest bone of contention in ours is that Nick on our Canon. So
that is the next thing. Yeah. I was just going to get on to that. And where do you stand on that?
Well, both of us are Canon men, so all those poor Nickonites, as we call them.
We've been fired from a Canon once or twice.
Does it gall you sometimes that the profession is being changed with technology?
Well, they say the best camera you can have is the one you have on you at the time, you know what I mean? So having the phone technology is great, because sometimes you can't, you're not going to have all your gear with you, if I'm going for a walk sometimes and the wife, you're not bringing all that with you, so you can't, sometimes you have to be respectful of what you can't bring it with you every time.
What's your wife's name? Give her a special... Samantha, yeah, give her a special mention.
She'd be delighted to hear that. But no, she'll say, look, George, we'll go, do you have to bring it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have your phone, and that's great as well. There's a place for every type of photography, so...
Where do you stand on it? Where do you stand on it, John?
Well, in my case, unfortunately, I'm a bit of a glutton for equipment, and I tend to... If I see it, I like it, I buy it. And unfortunately, I end up carrying around with me more lenses that I hardly use sometimes, But it's there just in case I might want it. And I end up bringing less, we say, clothes. If I'm going on a holiday or something like that, I bring less clothes than I would lenses.
And have you got a special room at home now?
I have, unfortunately, yes. I have a corner anyway.
A corner, yeah, same there.
Same here, yeah. Man cave.
A man cave.
Yeah.
Most good photographers, they're obsessive, and it's like this beautiful obsession with beautiful equipment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a thing they call gear acquisition syndrome, and there's a lot of us suffer from it, unfortunately. It's that thing of trying to pare it back as well. Sometimes I'm going to shoot with just one lens today. Never works. Well, for me it doesn't anyway, It's a very hard discipline to master.
And the same would apply to those that like Nikon. So we won't disparage them, absolutely.
We all have our problems.
We all have our problems. Tell us, in terms of selecting these pictures, obviously some people may have felt they had 5 or 6 really good pictures. They would have had to make a choice. Ultimately, it might come down to the way you love a picture, what it meant to you when you were actually taking it as you got that image.
Yeah, we gave the members who submitted images, they were allowed to pick their favourite 2 images. We didn't tell them their favourite 2 and a spare, in case we had a problem with our printing, who we need to mention as well, Tom Quilty. He's a club member, done all the printing for us, and he has his own little business that he does framing and printing, which is a fantastic one-stop shop.
Fair play to Tom.
But we left it basically to the members themselves to decide their 1 and 2, and a third is a spare, because it's their images, it's their exhibition. It's not for us to decide what goes on display, So as you said, it could be a personal thing or it could have been a time, family occasion, whatever it was. But we have a lot of landscape stuff. We have a lot of kind of, not so much portraiture in it, and there is really, John, in the images.
No, there's it's mainly landscape, yeah. And again, it depends on what the individuals like themselves, really. At the end of the day, it's about the eye, what you see with your eye and how you take your shot. After that, then it's down to kind of software that you might have at home, either Photoshop, Lightroom and so on, how you actually treat the photograph afterwards. So, it's mostly landscape, I think, that we've got. But there are some stunning portrait images in there as well, yeah. And it's well worth it. If anybody is out there listening and they're in the area, at least make a special effort to come down and have a look, because it's a stunning exhibition.
I have seen exhibitions there before. I know the Irish, the Press Association and different groups used to do exhibitions there. It's a really good exhibition space, and well done to City Square and to Terry for getting involved. It's starting next week. When is it starting?
On the Monday.
On Monday. How long will it be running for?
It'll be running till the Saturday.
Saturday. So all next week.
Yeah, all of next week.
City Square, be down there, and I presume at certain times you'll have some people from the club down there, even just talking about and stuff like that.
We have a roster set up. There'll be someone there. Like, we're not going to be there from 9 in the morning, from about 11, half 10, 11 onwards up to about 4, and then the later opening times we'll have people there up to 9 o'clock. So. And
all the Nikon guys will be down there as well selling.
Well, they probably have placards up, giving out about us.
We're trying to keep them back. Yeah.
It's a bit unfair now that two of you Cannon boys decided to come in. I'd say there'd be a long letter going to the committee now because
monopoly. Well, we're on the committee, so
you are the committee.
Well, they call me Chairman Mouse, so I suppose that's.
George is the chairman. I'm treasurer, so they call him Chairman Mao. I'm Scrooge.
George O'Mahony, John O'Connor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Damien.
Really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.